everyone and welcome back to Horticultural Hales. It is now starting to warm up here in the UK, so I've been to the garden centre and I've bought a lot of things, so I'll show you what I've bought. Next up, I shall then show you how I chip potatoes and how I set them out in a windowsill. Then I've got to sow my beefsteak tomatoes, so that'll just be the full method of how I put them in the trays. Then I've got to sow some melons, enough for me and my granddad. Then I have got to separate out my onions, which I've got just in this propagator here. And I hope you enjoy. So first up, I have been to the garden centres and I bought a lot of stuff. So I thought I'd just show you what I've bought. So I have bought some more Uchiki Curry squash seed. That's the first thing, that's going to be quite useful. So these are the squash, the round orange squash which you saw last year that we put in soup. So I bought some more of those. These will be sown, I'll sow these probably mid-March, so look forward to that. I have bought some indoor cucumbers. Oh no, sorry, these are the outdoor cucumbers, just here. These are Market Mall. I grew these last year but accidentally grew them inside. So that should be interesting seeing how they grow outside. Like these won't, I won't have to sow in the greenhouse until mid-April by the looks of it. So they're going to be quite good. I've also bought some indoor cucumbers, which are swing. The reason I bought these over my usual cucumbers is because these were, one, a lot cheaper, and two, they still grow to a decent size, and so they will fit in the fridge. And finally, I brought some tricolour courgettes. So these are roundy courgettes. So these are the spherical courgettes which I showed you last year. So that's seed wise. I've also bought some potatoes, as you can see. I'll be doing a bit in the video just in a second. For my first earlies, I've gone for Maris Bard potatoes. For my main crop, I am going for oh no, these are my main crop. For my main crop, I am going for Maris Piper again, and for, I've got a second main crop, but these are kind of second earlies come main crop, are Pentlandales. And these are going to be, I've been looking forward to growing these again. So these actually, these three, the reason I've chosen these three is because they were the ones I grew my first year. The ones I grew on Horticultural Hales last year, which didn't do too well actually. I was experimenting with some, so I tried these just so I can get another reliable year, and then next year I'm probably going, looking around, I might change. I'll keep Maris Piper as my main crop, but I might change my first earlies from Maris Bard to Arran Pilot, but I'll see. So that's a quick overview of what I bought. I've also bought some other things, just like compost, so some J. Arthur Browers compost, and a couple of plant feeds. So yeah, so that's what I bought, and so now I will show you how to sort out potatoes. So what you do with potatoes is you have to put them in a windowsill to what is called chit. No, I didn't say every word, I said chit with a C. So what you have is a little seed tray. I say little. You have a seed tray like this. You get some newspaper. Line the tray with some newspaper. Like so, just roughly. And then you get your potatoes. And when you look at the potatoes, you'll see, if I bring this close to the camera, you'll see there's loads of little, these have started, loads of little tiny, these are the chits. So what these do, these will grow into longer stalks, and when you look at them you'll see there's none on this side, but there's loads on this side. So you want this side facing up. So that side's facing up, not the other way around. And then when you put them, you have to put them in a windowsill in light, and then they'll grow in the light. And so if you have the chits the other way around, they could break off or they just won't grow properly. So you do that with all of your potatoes. Now usually I start potatoes off chitting way back in beginning of January. but because of lockdown and because I was sorting a couple other things out, I haven't had the chance to get them. But you can start chitting now, as you can see. These have barely started, and so I'll probably chit these for the rest of February, and probably, dependent on how quickly they grow, most of March to most to all of March. And then come end of March, when there's less chance of frost and the soil is a bit warmer, then I'll put them in and I'll go through that. That's potatoes now done. I shall go put these in a windowsill and they can just sit there for the next month or so. You can put these in a heated greenhouse if you really want to, but I find it easier putting them in the house. So now on with the video. So the next thing I'm going to show you is digging in manure. Now with this, all I'm going to do is I've got 10 bags of manure, just like these 5 here. These 5 I've already spread out along here. I'm just going to take a rake, evenly spread all this manure along here, tip all this out and spread it around here, and then just dig it in. So all I'll do is I'll take a spade, put it here through the manure about spade depth deep into the soil itself, and then just turn the whole thing over. So this is now then deep inside the ground. So I'm not going to time lapse this. I'll show you just before and after shots because the camera is going to be in awkward positions. So this is the before and this is after. So I've literally just finished digging it in and I've just pulled a rake over. As you can see, it's gone nice and fine. The manure is now deep down underground, about a spade depth deep, and it's now all evenly spread around this. So this is now pretty much ready for planting in about a month to 2 months time, probably a bit longer, once the plants have developed and I've sown the seed. So now I'm going to show you how I do my tomatoes. Now this is a very small seed tray. I put some compost, which I've been leaving to dry in the greenhouse for a while now, just over winter, because it was a bit damp sitting outside. And all I'm doing is just very, very gently, you don't have to push down very hard, just tamping down the soil just a little tiny bit with this, which is the perfect size for what I want to do. Just making sure that it's just a tiny bit compressed, but not loads. You don't want it really, really light, else the root system doesn't develop properly because it hasn't got anything to force through. It just goes, and then if you do it too hard, the roots won't be able to go through it, and then the plants won't develop properly. Just need a little bit more here. So that should be deep enough. That's about 1 centimetre below the edge. So this should be deep enough now. It's about 1 centimetre below the edge of the tray, as you can see there. And now I need my tomato seeds, which are just down here behind. So this will just be my beefsteak tomatoes again. The cherry tomatoes I'm getting cuttings from my grandfather and just putting the plant straight in, whereas these I always sow from seed. Now I won't want many plants, so I won't want to fill this too much. Just get a few seeds in your hand as such. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, just get a few seeds in there, but I won't be putting all of these in. And then just very finely spread them around. So that should be more than enough for what I need. I probably only want 6 or 7, but because it's the time I'm doing this, there's been a few frosts the last couple of days. So if I get another frost and a couple don't survive, then I've still got 12 and I've still got plenty, as my granddad can have. So now that they're in, all you want to do is just get a rough handful of compost, and then just very, put a light covering on. It doesn't matter if you sprinkle, as you can see here, I've sprinkled loads on my workbench. That doesn't matter too much. You can always clean that up after. Yeah, a tiny bit more. And then just again with this, just very gently tap it down, just so then the tops which are coming out will also get the same treatment as the roots, so they shall also be strong. But of course these haven't got too much space. There's only, as I said, as you saw, there's only a little layer of compost on the top. Now that these are like this, they are officially sown as such. What I need to do now is, I've got a blue tray just here. I'm going to just give this one. I'm going to fill this with a little bit of water, and then just stand these in the water. I've got some other stuff when I sow the melons. I'll put the melons in here as well. What this does, so it's just stand it in here like this. I'll also put the melons in here as well. What this does is make the water rise from the bottom upwards. What this means is that if you then water the top, say, when you're watering these in, it doesn't necessarily go all the way through. You can't tell how far it's been, and you can also move around the seeds if you water them too harshly. So what this allows is, once you see the top discolour a little bit, you know the water's all the way through, then you just take them out, let them drain a little bit, and then you can put them in a propagator, or you can put them in the sun. Also, especially since there are a few frosts around still, if it does get to a frost, you will need to put fleece over the tomatoes. That's just so that they don't, if they get bitten by the frost, it can kill them. So I'm going to go fill this with water, put these in there, and so I guess I'll see you when I'm doing the melons. So next up I'm going to sow the melons. Now what I've got is, I've got a rooting tray, that's what this is called, a rooting tray. And it's got 9 holes, just because I'm only going to want 4 plants. My granddad can have the other 5. And what I've done is I've just put the compost up to the top, just very lightly, literally just put it straight in, and then I'm just going to gently tamp it down, and that is about the right height. When you just tamp it down, it goes to about the right height you want it. So that's at about the right depth I want to put them in. Then I will want the melon. So now I have my seeds. I'll just tip them onto the workbench. Hopefully I should have enough. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Ah, that's perfect. We'll have 2 left over. So what you want to do is to put the seeds edge down. So what this means is, if I just gently hold this, if I just show you that, you want it that way, not flat, you want it edge down, so you want it like that. So you want it edge up, and then just gently push it into the soil, just so you can see the top. Now that they're like this, I have just got to just put a little bit of compost over the top. So just grab a handful. Just gently sprinkle that on the top as such. And just spread it around, make sure you get even amounts in each pot. And any big lumps, just make sure you break them up. And then grab your trusty piece of wood. And then just gently firm it down. If any of them need a little bit more, give them a little bit more. If you need to take a little bit out, take a little bit out. So hopefully I will have 9 plants, but most likely I'll probably get about 6, I'd say 6 or 7. If all 9 come up, it'd be absolutely brilliant. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in, there's a tub just behind me, I'm going to put them in the water, then write a tag out for them and put them in the propagator, which is just beside you. So the next thing I'm going to do is my onions. So I have my onions on the left, I have a tray which I'm going to put them into on the right. Now the reason I've got to move these on, as you can see, they're very tightly packed in here, and it's not good for their growth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to single them out, put them in each of these. I've got 3 or 4 of these. Single them out, put them in the tray in the sunlight, and let them develop that way. These are hardy to frost, but just keep an eye on them, make sure they don't get nipped. So what you want to do, I've got the little stick here, but as you can see it's got a roundy end and a pointed end. What you can do with this is make a little hole in each of these. Now as you can see there isn't much height difference between these, but what this will do is just allow the plant to grow upwards. There's a lot more soil in here, and it'll also allow them to grow outwards, which is what you want. You don't necessarily want them to just go straight down, you want them to develop a good root ball. So that's the 6 holes done in each of those. So what I've got now is an old teaspoon. As you can see, it's got a nice flat end this end and a spoon in this end. And what you do is you just take this end and gently cut round each plant. So if I demonstrate, I take this one just here, just gently cut around it. And just gently bring it out. Make sure I get the roots in. Gently push it in. Put a little bit of compost around. Make sure that's up like that. And as you see, that's dipped very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit more compost. Spread around just to help keep it upright. These will perk up in a few days, it's just they've been cramped for a while. Like so, and what I'm going to do afterwards, I've got a watering can, a brilliant nozzle just down here, like this. As you can see, that just allows me to get between each pot and just water each one individually, and that literally just slots onto the end, watering can like that. And so I'll give them a water this way afterwards because these are a lot stronger rather than being seeds. So I shall time lapse doing this. I don't know how many I'm going to get out of this actually, but we shall see.